All right, MA Marignon, turn 56, got some armies in motion, starting a new war. Things are happening. We finished research in thaumaturgy. Let's see, level 7, which is nice. Yeah, we've talked about research. We teleport a guy. Don't really remember what this is about. I think just, shifting guys around, logistics stuff. Astral window, bringing in our underwater scout. So trying to get a sense of what's going on underwater. We twice-born, right, this is one of our Lamias. I think our Death 4, who, yeah, definitely worth twice-borning. Probably should have just done that immediately. We catch what looks like a magic phase battle from Ariu, so it looks like they have picked their next target. I'm guessing this is, whoa, okay, this is not what I would have guessed, so probably still a Cloud Trapeze attack, but this is a lot of commitment. Did I say a lot of commitment? I meant a huge amount of commitment. So like, yeah, this is a 25 gem item, 25 air gems too, which are very valuable for Ariu. And then like this is 10 gems. No, this is 20 gems. 10 gems. These ones are only 5. Anyway, this is a ton of gems on this lady. And then she's got some friends here as well. And they just have, it looks like, gate cleavers. So this looks like, yeah, a thug group who is going to go after a fort. So I'm assuming that there's like an empty fort here. And with these 3 gate cleavers, these thugs are going to be able to break down the walls, whereas normally they wouldn't be able to. That said, they ran into somebody. So this may actually be a situation where Ariu wants the gate cleavers just purely for the amount of damage that they're going to be doing, because this is a prophet, so he has a ton of hit points. He must be in friendly dominion, yeah, when he's enlarged as well, and Gullum dominion, whatever that is, MA Agartha thing, no doubt. But the result is there's a ton of hit points here and a ton of protection, so like, yeah, this guy's going to be really annoying to deal with, and he flies, sure, why not? So like, yeah, this is looking really scary, and he lands a hit immediately. Elemental fortitude, yeah, so he's trying to charm him. That's what all the penetration items are about. I'm not sure if you can charm inanimate units. I mean, I guess you must be able to since she cast it. You never know, she could be, oof, I think she just went down. Like, yeah, not enough chaff. I almost feel like bugs would have been better here. So this is a really painful loss, although when I say it's a loss, it's not over yet. One thing is it's very difficult to get these inanimate units, like any kind of regeneration or anything like that. Let's see if he has it on the Bless. No regeneration on the Bless, or no, there's a like inanimate regeneration, I believe. So it doesn't have that, and doesn't have a lifesteal weapon. You can't give him like a ring of regeneration. So like all this damage is gonna stick around. And like these guys both are wielding gate cleavers, so they're incredibly dangerous. You can see like 26 damage there. So this isn't over, but even if Ariu wins this is going to be a really expensive win, right? And like now the province defense is getting up and messing things up. Because now he's targeting the province defense, yeah, and he gets killed by the prophet. So a decent attempt at killing this really nasty guy. I'm assuming that's what he was aiming at, since like I said, I believe this is a magic phase attack, so I believe this is a battle that Ariu chose. And I can totally understand right, wanting to gank this guy while he's on his own. Because certainly if he's got buddies as well, I mean, we could see that even on his lonesome, he was extremely dangerous. But yeah, I think like 1 or 2 casts of Swarm would have helped a lot there. But I don't know, maybe I'm biased. I find myself casting Swarm like all over the place, probably too much, so maybe don't listen to the crazy bug guy. We did not find any magic sites with our site searching. That is very sad. We are now in the blood hunting business. Please do not tell the witch hunters. Of course, this is thematically correct for where Marignon ends up going in the late age. And Xibalba is attacking out again. Xibalba has just been absolutely fierce. Yeah, just doing a great job defending the cap. And like, this is looking super dangerous. Let's turn on team colored squares. Yeah, they have an air elemental out already. They brought out a ton of blood slaves. Let's see, are any of these? Yeah, they're geared, right? He's got some thugs and stuff in here. Yeah, with a smasher, an eye catcher. So probably looking to go after that Bronze Colossus, I'm guessing, which, yep, that definitely makes sense. And like, yeah, just a bunch of Axe Warriors here who probably aren't going to do super great against the Skelly spam. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not sure, like, there doesn't seem to be a ton of skeletons coming out, so I'm assuming there's going to be some Skelly spam. And then 1 Thug and 1 Pretender, who's a Bronze Colossus. And the Bronze Colossus is going to be a tall order. Earth Elemental coming out. Sad that one of the Elementals is getting trapped back there, but that's just the nature of it. Ooh, that looks like a Bloodletting. Probably also from Xibalba, which, like, yeah, is a little dangerous with the Bat Mages, because I think that just deals damage to everyone on the field. But it's going to be pretty good against, like, the Axe Warriors. Yeah, I think most of them have routed, it looks like. yeah, they of course don't have very good morale. But like, yeah, this Bronze Colossus, he's going to be pretty dangerous. Yeah, he's dropping Shockwave. Let's see about this Thug. Wow. This Thug has also routed, so I'm assuming that this is just a general rout? No. Okay, yeah, there you go. Armies of Phlegra are routed, yeah. So I'm not sure this guy maybe is berserking. No, it doesn't look like it. I guess, yeah, I thought that the general army route, like the HP route, triggered... Whoa, what happened? The Bronze Colossus may have just died. Let's take a look. Yeah, wow, Xibalba killed the Bronze Colossus. This is going to be kind of sad because, you know, we were planning on picking up Xibalba's capital, but from Phlegra, so we may end up fighting Xibalba at some point. I don't know. Like, there isn't enough room. Like, if we let Xibalba live, we won't really pick up that much from Phlegra. So that's a bit sad. Let's see here. Well, something or someone did 52 points of damage. I doubt it was an imp or a soulless warrior, so I'll have to go take a look at this replay again and see who actually got the kill. But that's a pretty big deal, right? We were a little bit worried about that Bronze Colossus. The fact that it's dead is super nice, and I was worried about there not being enough undead generation. That worry was unfounded. There definitely is enough undead regeneration, and yeah, like I said, Xibalba, absolutely fierce. And this is a player that, you know, subbed into this position, so, you know, extra respect for that. Let's take a look. This is one of our battles. Yeah, I think this is one of our armies moving in. And against quite a bit of province defense, and there is one mage here, although I think he is just from the province defense, because I think there's enough investment here, and like, yeah, we're just going through our normal stuff. Yeah, let's see, yeah. The Strength of Giants kind of going all over the place. You know, I was expecting the Eagles to soak it up, and it does kind of look like they did soak up some of it. Well, not this Eagle anyway, but it also looked like it ended up on our crossbowmen. Yeah, like some of it ended up on our crossbowmen, and like that I really don't understand. Especially because crossbows, you know, it's only 1/3 of the wielder's strength gets added, unlike, you know, most weapons, which is actually kind of curious why any strength is added. I'm sure there's balance reasons, but that's not actually how crossbows work. But anyway, like, yeah, just not a good target for Strength of Giants. There we go. We got some on our knights. We had quite a bit scripted. I think there's a Legions of Steel in there eventually. None of this is going to matter, right? We're going to absolutely wipe out this province defense here. Hopefully, no, this did trigger gem usage. So that's a little bit sad, especially because the we probably brought reloads for this army. Maybe not. This is the army I think that I'm a little less worried about because it's somewhat shielded by our other army. So just kind of wanted to see like where our buffs were going to end up, because that could matter a lot for real battles. So hopefully we don't take any losses. Let's take a look. Yeah, no losses. We found a Helmet of Heroes, which I'm actually not familiar with that item. So there was a good amount of patrolling, which we pretty much already knew. This looks like the same patrolling that there was last turn, maybe reinforced a little bit. But with no mage support, like, it's just not going to be able to stop an army. We have a retreat somehow. One of our enchantresses retreated, so that might have just been a scripting error on my part. So not sure what happened there, but nonetheless, a good showing for our army. Although, you know, not that much resistance. And yeah, we're getting attacked. This is again, you know, mundane army for the most part, but they do have some gem support and mage support with gems from an adept of the Silver Order, so maybe an air elemental, maybe some anti-magic, and yeah, we didn't leave anything, so we won't get to find out because that definitely won't trigger gem usage. But that's nicely done by Phlegra, raiding back immediately. But like, yeah, I think we can handle this. It shouldn't really threaten either of our armies, right? And then this is us attacking Abyssia. These are, yeah, our crossbowmen. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Abyssia, they really struggled to combine with just about anything. Like that heat aura, like really causes problems, you know, when you recruit independents, or like in this case, right, with your province defense, and like sometimes, like, yeah, they can just rout themselves. But like, yeah, against that amount of Lion Tribe province defense, like, we would have beaten that even without Abyssia's heat problems. Though we do manage to lose a crossbowman, yeah, probably from the archers, which is fine. Crossbowmen are not as relevant for us anymore. And then this is not our thug. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we're gonna get rid of those hydras. Probably should have told Pelagia, but I figured they were probably busy enough that we were pretty unlikely to bump. We didn't really have anything for these knights to do, and we have poison resist on the bless, so assuming we manage to get the bless on everybody, like, yeah, it's a pretty easy win for us. I have found that, you know, hydras in Dominions 5, not super impressive. The Poison Cloud can be really, really nasty, but if you have poison resistance, they're, you know, like these guys get a good amount of regeneration. Yeah, because they got, you know, 80 hit points, 10%, so like they're okay, but they just don't have enough protection, like mundane attacks. I don't know, anyway, they just don't really seem to do that well. We might as well clear it out, and then we get raided back by Flegra again. Like, yeah, Flegra is clearly a decent player. Okay, nice. I was wondering about these Gigantes. So he's got one of his tyrants here with a bunch of Gigante bodyguards. And yeah, it looks like he's been kitted out for some anti-poison and then just sort of like chaff clearing duty. And like, yeah, we have some province defense here, but not much. Certainly not enough to deal with these fellows. This is a place we were trying to raid, I'm guessing, because our knight group, which I totally missed, yeah, they're in here. So we lose this, which is unfortunate. But, I mean, then again, like, yeah, I wasn't sure. I did see these guys, but I didn't realize there was a commander here. But you can see these guys are pretty tough. We do kill some of them, and I think that, like, you know, if they hadn't had a commander, maybe we could have won. I don't know, maybe not. But, like, yeah, that's not great. And then, yeah, fire elementals, not going to be so useful against these guys because they have built-in fire resistance. Though it's only 5, so, you know, especially like the large fire elementals will definitely still be pretty relevant. They'll also be pretty good at tar pitting them because these guys just have mundane weapons, so they're going to struggle to get through that ethereal for the fire elementals. But still, always sad to be losing some knights. Our witch hunter does at least escape successfully. Yes, he does. So that's good. And, you know, killing these, well, they're not sacreds, but they're pretty limited in terms of recruitment. I think you can get him out of places other than the capital. But still, he's going to have a limited number of these Gigante warriors. But we'll have to take a look. You know, the tyrants, like, we need to track where those guys are because we're going to need specific answers for them. Then we catch a battle in Abyssia where it looks like Abyssia is trying to break out against Man. So we'll have to see, you know, did Man... Looks like they brought their stuff back, so they wanted round 2. And it's looking like it's probably going to be the same plan from Abyssia, right? I'm pretty sure I heard, you know, some horror stuff. A bunch of Blade Winds, which is going to be decently effective. A bunch of Chaff, Howl, like, so all the same kind of stuff. Summoning Storm Power. So there's going to be some lightning coming down. And do we see any horrors anywhere, though? Oh, yeah, there they are. So there's a couple of them, yeah, already in the middle of Man's army. Don't see any gore tides, so that's good news. So I'm not sure like how many horrors they could call. Yeah, they got a guy out there horror marking. Because horrors will go for whoever, right? As long as you're not mindless. Yeah, here comes some rocks, because, you know, when you have Earth Astral, some rocks are going to get dropped. And I think Man is going to come away with it. These guys do have a lot of life-draining attacks, and they are invisible. So unless you have stuff with Spirit Sight, which luckily the undead actually do have Spirit Sight, most of them. Yeah, so these ghouls actually only have dark vision. I think the Long Dead or Soulless, hang on, let me... Interesting, so the Soulless actually get no benefit in the dark, which I did not realize. But the Long Dead, they do have Spirit Sight, so it's going to be easier for the Long Dead to strike these horrors. That said, they're also ethereal. The Long Dead definitely don't have magic weapons. The Fire Elemental, which is Abyssia's, so not going to be such a great answer for Man against the horrors. But Fire Elementals have, you know, magic damage and Spirit Sight. So you can see, though, these guys are not quite as aggressive in their, you know, life gain as the Gore Tides. Yeah, one of them goes down, so I think, yeah, Man, and I think that's some advance and cast spells. I think I saw a Drain Life in there. So I think this time is absolutely going to work out for Man. And, like, yeah, it's probably a good, you know, maybe a little more struggling would have been better for us since we're trying to jump in and do a little bit of vulturing real quick. But overall, I do think that's a good thing for us. If we have to fight Man, that's not the end of the world. But we mostly just really need Man to not die to Asphodel. And then we get attacked somewhere else by Flegra. So, I mean, you know, I don't know. Maybe we'll never have to worry about Asphodel. Okay, so that was a different Gigante group. But he does have some leaders. I think maybe he can foreign recruit these shepherds here, because I don't recall seeing a leader for these guys. I'm not even sure. Yeah, like, this is just some random province. I don't know why there's so many of them out here. I thought maybe they were just retreats that he hadn't bothered to collect, but, like, seems like way too many guys for retreats, so maybe I just don't understand how Flegra gets... I'll have to dig into that a little bit, because, like, yeah, I thought I understood how he recruited these units, but maybe I don't. Anyway, this is more than enough stuff, you know, to wipe out our minimal province defense. And that's going to be a bit of a problem. I was kind of counting on those guys not having leadership. So yeah, they're definitely going to be able to get loose into our territory and cause us some woes. That said, with that leader, right, like we've talked, like our knights can stack up okay against these Gigante warriors. So we'll just have to peel some knights off that we're going to use as reinforcements to deal with that raiding group. And then this must be our thug who is clearing out our misfortune for us. So like, yeah, we've got overcommitment, overkitted, whatever you want to call it. I am fine with it. It just hopefully means that we don't have to think too much about these independent attacks in the future. So we went for attack rear, which is good. The mage is probably the one thing that I do think we have. No, we don't have any magic resistance gear, although, yeah, the Harbingers do have decent base magic resistance, so there wasn't too much danger there. But yeah, I don't think we got all the mages, or maybe that was some Holy Avenger. And like, yeah, some damage did get through, right? We lost our mirror image. Ooh, trample. I had not considered the trample angle. Luckily, we have the ring of regeneration. That's like probably one of, if not the most important items, like on these thugs that are going to be dealing with a lot of units. Because if anything does slip past your defenses and is dealing a little bit of damage, the ring of regeneration can help make sure that it's not catastrophic. So if you're going to overcommit on a thug, I say put a ring of regeneration on them, assuming that's applicable to your thug, because they can't all regenerate. And yeah, that does work out for us just fine. And hey, if we haven't done any air site searching here, we will do that now. And then here is our other army in motion. No, these are our Knight Raiders. So we'll see. Yeah, this is a lot of province defense and has brought out quite a few mages here, although I'm not sure. I think they auto-communion, so we'll see. Yeah, but seems like relatively low level. There we go. Okay, Marble Warriors. That is absolutely relevant. Most of the rest of the stuff probably won't matter. But like, yeah, I don't know, we probably don't have enough knights here. Like, this is pretty light to be taking all this on. And like, yeah, there's some Frozen Heart. So like, yeah, not enough commitment, I feel like. Well, maybe it'll pull it off. I'm still trying to feel out. I feel like, previously I was overcommitting with some of the knight raiding groups, and like now to start out this war, I've undercommitted on a lot of our raids. So still trying to feel out exactly like what the optimal level of commitment is there. So it's always sad to be losing knights, especially since all we did was kill province defense, aka nothing. But let's see, our witch hunter does manage to escape along with everybody who survived. So that's not the end of the world. We can definitely afford to lose a few knights, but better if we not lose knights. And then yeah, we catch another battle in what looks like a war between Agartha and Ariu, probably kicking off this turn, I'm guessing. So like, yeah, we're almost in sync in terms of our warfare. And then it's just deer tribe, so should be fine. Yeah, absolutely classic elf kit, and I think he's gonna clean this up pretty easily. I'm just curious to see. Yeah, okay, so he does do flight, but doesn't actually manage to fly to the back. The script may be a little on the long side, but it does work out, so maybe not. I do think when you're up against province defense, like a long script isn't so bad, but as soon as the enemy starts committing like anti-raiding stuff, that's when like a long script is really going to get you into trouble. Let's see, we have another one of our attacks. This is, yeah, just a random raiding group. Oh yeah, some swarm raiding. Along with, I don't think we gave this guy, yeah, we can't spare fire gems. We need to put Eternal Pyre back up. So he's just going to do some fire casting behind some bugs. And yeah, we're just up against province defense, although a decent amount of province defense. Phlegra appears to like to invest in, PD. Some players, it's like one across the board. Other players invest more heavily. Ooh, we got sniped by arrows, and we were probably over the fatigue level. That definitely wasn't part of his script, so that's a bit sad. Did he manage to get himself ethereal? Hang on, we gotta take a look at that. Man, these witch hunters, they've not really been working out for us. So let's see, did he put it? Yeah, no, he put body ethereal on himself. But of course, he is just a dude in robes. So let's see, I think I just told him, yeah, Phoenix power, and then probably just advance and cast spells. Yeah, you got luck. No, you know what do you bet the luck went on one of the bugs? Yep, he put luck on the bugs. So that's unfortunate. And then he advanced and then decided, hey, why not put Phoenix Pyre on myself, and then died and was over fatigued from casting Phoenix Pyre. Good work. Witch Hunter. So, but it's not all over, although we did set our other mage on fire. Luckily he's asleep, although, somehow his morale didn't break despite being asleep. And all we needed was the swarm. We really lucked out on, it would have been luckier had our, Witch Hunter not died, but considering that our Witch Hunter died, we're extremely lucky that the bugs carried it for us there. So that works out. Yep, nothing to see there. Don't worry about it. Perfectly competent rating. And then speaking of perfectly competent rating, here we are jumping on top of an Abyssian fort. There's a decent amount of PD investment here, and although I do think these are the human bred, so they're only fire resistant. This is the Middle Age, so Abyssia is beginning to wind down, and a lot of their regular troops don't actually radiate heat. Although that said, we should hopefully be getting fire resistance on our guys. We did. I would say as a rule, if you're going to be fighting Abyssia, probably bring some fire resistance. That's just the safest thing. So we just have an infantry duel, and we're dropping rocks on ourselves. And Abyssians are pretty solid heavy infantry, and we come away with it. But considering that we got Legions of Steel and Strength of Giants on our troops, whereas these guys had no buffs, you can see that Marignon's infantry is kind of underwhelming. So it is what it is. We do at least come away with it, and losing 12 halberdiers is not the end of the world. Unfortunately, we do have some retreats as well, so we lose a few units there. This is not. There's a good chance this will get knocked off. Now, luckily, we have more stuff coming in, which is going to be essential because, we don't want to risk these mages because they don't really have a front line anymore to speak of. So yeah, not our best showing this turn, I would say, in terms of battle results. Another kind of 50-50 sort of turn. But that kind of comes with trying to do lower commitment stuff. And I think I've gone a little too low in terms of my commitment. So this is, I think, probably the Throne Fort. Maybe not. Actually, I think I got it reversed because there's fewer paladins here. I don't know. It's one of our armies, and there's a lot less PD here, so this is going to work out for us. Doesn't actually trigger gem usage, which is nice. Of course, that does mean that we may, we get a little bit of friendly fire. No, we lose somebody in the archer duel. But that's fine, right? We're not really relying on crossbowmen anymore. They're just a nice-to-have feature in our armies. And then, this is the underwater fight. So Yis is assaulting, so Pelagia chose to hang out. Wow, they have a monolith and the Queen of the Deeps. So this is elemental royalty. She's a water 5. It's a little sad that she doesn't have any water gems on her, but she's still going to be able to do a lot of casting. So I would say, if she had a bunch of water gems, I'd say that, Pelagia is in a pretty good position. Maybe they just feel, maybe they feel that those water gems are better, spent somewhere else because they've given a bunch of gems to this monolith. And this monolith has 343 hit points and 34 protection. That's going to be really hard to cut through. That said, Yis has brought a lot of their sacreds. Although I would say a lack of strength is, kind of one of their issues. So, and it doesn't look like there's any strength on the Bless, unless the Bless hasn't gone off. No, it has. So no strength on the Bless. The Golden Lance is not incredibly damaging, 18 pierce. They'll probably be doing some chip damage. I think that monolith is going to be pretty dangerous and pretty tough. Pelagia does have just some regular infantry here as well to help choke the gap, so I like that. They're not great, but they're not awful. They also have one of their cap onlys. He has been given water gems, and he's a water 6, so a very dangerous caster, especially underwater. So we'll see how this goes. I do think that Pelagia doesn't seem to have a ton of damage dealing elements. Okay, Shark Attack, maybe. A little bit of Frozen Heart. But I do think these ladies have... Oh, wow, not all of them got blessed. That's kind of sad. I do think that Yis has some bless problems. It feels like a lot of elf nations actually have that issue. But still, this is enough sacreds. You'd think that maybe their prophet is dead. Shark Attack is kind of like Howl, but it can definitely also attack... Sharks can attack your own units, unlike Howl. And they also, there needs to be blood in the water, so I think you get more sharks the more wounds or damage there's been. At least I'm pretty sure that's how that works, because I once fought a battle with a bunch of Inanimates underwater and cast Shark Attack and was very disappointed with how many sharks showed up. Kind of like Howl, but also a little different. And you can see that Pelagia... I have to say, actually, their troops are hanging out better than I expected. Probably some of that is... there they go. I jinxed them. Sorry, Pelagia. But the Queen of the Deeps is going to have a lot of regeneration. So underwater, she regenerates 90%. which is absolutely insane. Now, that said, she only has 65 hit points, so, this is maybe not quite as insane as it could be. She also has no kit, which is a little sad considering she went into melee, but I'm not sure she's going to need it. And yeah, some of the Morvarks get through. This cap only is probably screwed, yeah, but like now they're up against the Monolith. Monolith, unfortunately, is just spamming Panic for the most part, but some of the Morvarks are getting stunned by Astral Shield, and you can see that the Queen of the Deeps, she's going to pick up a lot of afflictions. Well, I say that, but she doesn't actually have any. She's certainly taking enough damage, but like regenerating 59 hit points a turn, like I'm not sure. You're going to need something other than regular troops, even like Sacreds, like unless you have some sort of insane strength buff. I say that she is taking a ton of damage, but yeah, I don't know. That's an incredible amount of regeneration. And let's see how the Monolith is doing. Yeah, the Monolith is just fine. I don't even know, has it taken any damage? Yeah, I don't know. Its current maximum is 323, but it currently has 335, so I don't know how that works, but I would say that the Monolith is doing fine. It's not even bothering to use its gems, maybe because there isn't sufficient research. Or maybe it just feels like, you just cast Panic. I don't need to be spending any gems. So he is taking like the occasional chip damage, but there's no way. Now, of course, like some of these routing Morvarks have gotten blocked by troops that haven't routed yet, and the Queen of the Deeps is still doing her thing. And maybe not the cleanest defense. But you never know, like maybe Pelagia had to put this together on short order, and like certainly like between these two super combatants, they were able to handle this army from Yis without too much difficulty. There was never really any serious danger of them losing this battle. So that is absolutely a good sign. Let's see. So it's not like Pelagia didn't lose anything, right? Losing this Triton King, they're pretty expensive, and I believe they're cap only. They're definitely slow to recruit, so like that hurts. The Pearl Mages, not so bad. They're not cheap, but those can come out of any fort at least. And the Wave Warriors, just regular mundane troops, expensive mundane troops, but those losses not so bad, especially when you get rid of 3 Morgan Champions who are capital only, 250 gold apiece. That definitely hurts for Yis, as well as 18 of their Sacreds, same story, cap only, very valuable units, 115 gold per unit. This is the price of a decent mage. There's mages out there that cost like half as much, so that's pretty significant, losing 18 of those. And then the chaff doesn't matter so much, right? And again, because a lot of what Pelagia did was kind of just survive, the casualties are not as bad for Yis as they could be. Of course, this army now gets scattered due to the retreating, which is definitely going to be a hassle to deal with. So yeah, I'd say that's an excellent result for Pelagia. And then let's see if Fascia can pull off the same thing. I'm guessing probably not. But you never know. Let's see if these guys look like they probably, haven't been kitted out, but they do have a ton of nature gems. Maybe just going to be doing a bunch of Creeping Doom or, swarm casting to get all the bugs out. I will say I don't really love bugs on the offensive, because especially against forts, because you tend to just choke the breach, with a bunch of your own bugs, and isn't especially useful. So I will be interested to see, but an absolute ton of mage support here, even a few throne mages, some gnomes, and of course centaur are pretty dangerous, and possibly some thugs. No, but yeah, we've definitely seen this army, maybe not in this exact form before, and Fascia just doesn't really have anything left. In fact, these are just priests back here. Ouch. So they don't really have, they don't even have any sacreds here to speak of. So this is going to be, I think it triggers gem usage, which is probably fair. So 35 mannequins do die. Mannequins, they don't have a lot of health. They have no protection. Mannequins are kind of there to die. I'm pretty sure Asphodel gets them just as free spawn. So this is basically no losses for Asphodel. And of course, Fascia loses everything, although they don't really have much left. And they probably, they were eliminated this turn. So that is it for Fascia. And then speaking of people who are on the ropes, here's Shiniyama attacking Jotunheim. Jotunheim is in a better position than Fascia, I would say, but still not in a great spot. And they don't really have anything in here to defend. So I do think Shiniyama will come away with this, although this is a relatively motley crew that's storming this fort. And then we have some unexpected events. Let's see. Okay, one unit got cursed, but we did get nature magic for it. I will take that trade. And then we got some water gems. That is nice, especially considering our misfortune scales. Hey, and a treasure, 466 gold. Not too shabby. And then we discover some scouts. Excellent. Let's see. This is on top of Bandar Log, also on top of Bandar Log. So that's, I would say, less hostile, right? Because we just took this, so they're kind of just interested in seeing the battle. But we are glad to be rid of them. And then we get patrolled out, and it's unfortunate we get patrolled out. One of our troubadours dies, that is. And so actually, this is probably worth taking a quick look at. I think we've seen this army before from Abyssia, but like this is the force that is right next to the fort that we just jumped on top of. So like this could be in our future next turn. And there's not a ton of mage support here, right? Which is why I was like, I think we can handle this army as it stands, like even with our lesser stuff. Although our infantry did pretty poorly, and Abyssia actually has some of their better like Abyssian infantry here. So, you know, maybe we'll see. Maybe I spoke too soon. Of course, like we are going to be bringing up some knights, and I think the knights will do decently well. And then we patrol out a Phlegron scout. So we were at least getting scouted somewhat already by Phlegra, I think, unless they managed to push this in right away. Regardless, always happy to get rid of scouts. And, you know, it's nice to spend the gems on patrollers and then actually see them. Well, I mean, this was, these two patrols were our army patrolling because it didn't really have anything else to do. But this at least, right, is our nature gems, our wolves in action, getting rid of scouts for us. And then we finish a palisade somewhere. Right, this is the dog-headed fellows that we want for diversity on Asphodel's border. And then we're destroying the fort very slowly, the Abyssian fort, but that's to be expected. We just wanted to put our flag on it to make sure man didn't grab it. The real army should arrive next turn, but we do get a double crack on both of the Phlegron forts. And so that is really nice, right? Because those are our armies that are absolutely, you know, have been designed to take forts. So it is satisfying to get the one-turn crack, although one of those is a palisade. And yeah, I'll catch you guys after the jump. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Kind of a dicey start to this war with Phlegra. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of Heelot axe warriors, or just axe warriors, whatever, fellows with axes, on our borders, like all around. And like, while I don't think we're gonna have too much trouble with them, there are a lot. We are definitely badly outnumbered, and I don't really love either of our army's positions here, so I was definitely tempted to pull back. I think this fort is probably empty, right, since we destroyed a lot of units that were patrolling, but they may have to fight this group here, and they may have to fight this group here. And this army has no gems and no gem reloads, so I'm not sure what happened there. Definitely just a lack of scouts in the area. We have, of course, been recruiting a lot of scouts in this area, but, you know, we've been sending them deep into Phlegra's territory, not holding them back to be gem carriers. This army, of course, the one that didn't burn gems, it does have a gem carrier, right? And, you know, I was thinking, I think with this one, I knew that I didn't have enough scouts for carrying gems when launching this war, but I was figuring that, like, well, either probably our raiders will be able to jump on top of this fort, or we'll be able to jump on top of this fort without having to expend gems. And then once we take this, I am assuming there's a lab in here, which is not a safe assumption. And if there isn't, like, yeah, we'd have to backtrack or figure it out. So anyway, was tempted to retreat, but I think even gemless will be able to handle this situation. I don't know. This is definitely risky. But, you know, to retreat with both of our armies immediately, like, doesn't feel great. Like, we do have paladins with great swords of sharpness, right? There's elements of this army that do not require, you know, any gems or anything. And the forces that this army is up against aren't as bad, right? Like, there is a Tyrant here, so, you know, one of his super combatants who, let's actually take, I think this is the one with the Hydra skin armor. Yeah, and he's got like some bodyguard friends, although I do think, yeah, so this isn't like so bad for us, right? This guy only has 16 protection. It'll go up when he berserks, but like I think our knights of the chalice would be able to deal with him. Now, we did lose a chunk of knights here, right? So obviously these knights didn't deal with him, but they did kill, I think, 2 of his bodyguards, and the army has like at least double the number of knights, in addition to some paladins with great swords of sharpness, not to mention all the other elements. So, you know, it's like, I think we can take this, and like the Zots, you know, and the Helot soldiers, like this isn't very strong, and it doesn't really look like there's any mages here. So we'll see. We're risking it. Speaking of risking it, we're not going to storm. We're just going to sit here and siege, because I feel like there's a good chance that, I mean, like, right, this is kind of just, it just looks scary, right? I mean, I have a lot of different groups collapse on top of this army. And we didn't fight a lot of units that were patrolling here, right? Yeah, we only fought province defense, which is why we didn't burn gems. But there was stuff inside of this fort, right? So we could have to fight a fairly major battle, and we'll be significantly outnumbered. Like, I do think these armies are decent, but numbers-wise, we are a little on the small side, right? Like, our front line, I think there's only 40 units here. And so, you know, while our magic support, I think, is going to be much, much stronger and should make the difference, like, yeah, we are going to be fairly outnumbered, and that is significant. So I didn't really feel confident enough to issue a storm order when we're probably going to have to fight a relatively major battle. I would prefer to first fight that major battle, then storm, especially since hopefully this army will be able to move to support soon, assuming their storm goes well. The other thing is that, you know, we may face some significant raiding, right? So we're actually going to try to hold this province here. We've done a bit of a province defense dump. It's not a great PD type, but it's not an awful PD type either. And then we're moving in, you know, we have some knights, fire elementals, of course, just like a grab bag of like our mages. We also have some swordsmen that we're bringing up as reinforcements, and we're even going to teleport in a couple more guys from the capital with some penetration gear, right, with an eye to casting Enslaved Mind on, you know, these more super combatants. Less worried about this army, although there are a lot of units here. We do have an assassin in position, so it may not move, or it may move at like partial strength. But anyway, so we're going to try to hold this province. And then, yeah, Phlegra has a lot of options. So, like, we'll see. You know, this is kind of all over the place. We also have an assassin deeper in here. But this appears to be led by a tyrant, and there's no way this guy's going to be able to assassinate a tyrant. So, you know, that is really important. You know, you want your armies led by pretty powerful units, which we don't really have yet. Kind of, right? We did bring in sleepers, at least, and one of them has Kit. And then this group we have no plans for yet. We're gonna air site search here, right? So she's potentially someone, but you know, we talked about how don't really want to risk all this gear, and this gear isn't really very well set up to deal with these guys. There's definitely no way she could deal with them on her own. And to that end, like, we're recruiting knights here now, and so like we'll recruit up a decent number of knights hopefully, and then like mobilize like some of our mages. Luckily we have some non-fire mages here, right? Because this is one of the places we're getting enchantresses from. I don't love the idea of risking enchantresses, but we probably will need to, because these guys do have like built-in fire resistance, the units even, and probably he's got gear on them. Oh, right, this isn't being led by a tyrant. That is one thing. You know, this is a group that actually we could deal with assassins possibly. So if I was wiser, maybe I should have recruited some assassins. It's just hard to stop recruiting enchantresses because we have such, you know, magic diversity issues. We need more forts somehow. We simultaneously have too many forts and too few forts. I don't really know how that works, but that's how I feel. And this guy would not be an easy assassin target, right? I mean, he is still a giant. He does still have 47 hit points. Luckily, he doesn't have any nature gems, because if he did, like, forget it with the human assassins. But, you know, if we gave, like, a water bottle to one of our assassins, they could probably pull it off. But anyway, we're recruiting knights. That's the plan, but that could change. And we will lose some territory here, but I just don't think he's going to be able to deal all that much damage, and the situation with Airyu is pretty stable, so it's unlikely to trigger Airyu coming in against us, right? Especially considering that we know that Airyu also just launched like a major attack to the north. So aside from the fact that we have good relations and a non-aggression pact, they're also going to be really busy. So while this is going to be painful, it's not going to be that threatening overall. Ideally, they don't knock down our unforted temple. We will hopefully be able to stop them before they get that deep, which kind of brings us down over to this area. So this is the other fight that we'll potentially be having. I did get in touch with Man, and they do agree that we have a bit of an asphodel problem, but they weren't quite interested necessarily in working together. Like, it's still up in the air. So we could potentially be fighting Man on this border once this Abyssea situation finishes, which for the record is absolutely not finished. So we're sending a bunch of stuff in. This is in theory the time when our grandmasters are going to get to shine. So we've got a bit of battle fortune, which is just some area luck, and then fog warriors is really the main thing, which is going to be incredibly expensive in terms of mage turns. And if we burn out this communion, Marignon is a communion nation, right? And if you want to get maximum use out of your grandmasters, you're going to have to form communions, but your communions kind of suck because your communion slaves are just so expensive. It's difficult to mass these witch hunters, and then if we were to burn out this communion, it would be extra painful. Combined with the fact that a lot of what you end up wanting to use your communion for is like off-script casting, right? So these guys have no air paths. This is an air spell that we're trying to cast, so they're going to be taking extra fatigue, which means that a burnout is all the more likely. So we'll see. This could be a very expensive win, could be a painful loss too. And then in terms, we have some knights, right? We actually have our sacreds out in front because they're going to be able to get more fire resistance on them, and we are bringing out a bunch of our earth mages. Abyssea does have pretty heavy armor, and we're also going to be casting marble warriors because the mass protection with the nature spell is going to give fire weakness, which is not good when you're going up against Abyssea. Unfortunately, Marble Warriors is not the full battlefield, so there's a good chance that we have some casts of this, but not as many as I would like. I think we have like 4. We have 4, so a decent amount. And then we'll get some Strength of Giants in, hopefully after that. But I have it's probably just somehow all going to land on the crossbowmen. But we'll see. Hopefully, at least a couple of the Marble Warriors casts go where they're supposed to, and theoretically, if everything goes off properly, and I've worked the communion out with Fog Warriors as well, I think we're going to do pretty well against Abyssea. That said, our anti-super combatant situation in this army is not fantastic. The Grandmasters will be relatively high level, so they'll hopefully be able to soul slay, but we're definitely at some risk of getting hit with like a horror trap and not being able to deal with it. So probably should have forged, some more great swords of sharpness, because we do actually have enough paladins. We don't really have enough earth gems, right, to be doing all this. Our earth income is decent, but not fantastic, and it's definitely getting pressured. All this casting of Marble Warriors does chew up, a bunch of earth gems, and we are bringing just 1 reload for this army for the gems. So hooray reloads, but then also that kind of cuts into our ability to forge. So yeah, we'll see. I think, high confidence we're going to be able to beat this army. Less confidence that we'll be able to beat a horror trap. So I just, is Abyssea going to be able to get a horror trap in position for this? I don't think so, because this was the Lizard Shaman fort that looked relatively empty. But who knows? So we'll see how that goes. Of note, we haven't really talked with Shiniyama in a little while, and it looks like things are about to wind down in terms of what they can grab off of Jotunheim, which is going to leave them, kind of unoccupied. And they do share not much of a border with us, but enough of a border, and they do have a large army that's hanging out here, right? Because it just finished off, but it hasn't moved off yet either. So definitely should get in touch with them. I know that they were a bit worried about Asphodel, so I might reach out and suggest hey, why don't you jump in against Phlegra, right? You give them something to do, something that is not attacking us. And we may end up needing help with Phlegra. We'll see. I don't think so, but yeah, the war certainly hasn't gotten off to as good of a start as I would have hoped. Related to help with Phlegra, we do actually see Ulm, so Ulm is making solid penetration, I think, unless their coastal presence was deeper than I knew. There's probably a good chance that they're driving at Xibalba, which in some ways kind of works out, because I was a bit sad that it's oh man, are we going to have to go kill Xibalba? And I say go kill Xibalba. Xibalba's been doing a really good job, so that could be a somewhat difficult task. I mean, that said, they're going to be pretty exhausted, so I'm sure whatever Man is packing, we'll be able to deal with it. Not man, Ulm, the other like 3-letter human nation, Ulm can have some difficulties storming forts, like especially against Skelly Spam, because they kind of have, they're really good crossbowmen and they have really good like heavy, slow infantry. Neither of which are great in terms of taking forts, especially against Skelly Spam. But then again, it's late enough in the game that they probably have other elements available to them. So we'll be very interested to see like what they're doing. Obviously, there's a lot of Phlegron territory to the north as well. So maybe they're not driving at Xibalba. I'm sure they're interested in this throne, of course, and they're not too far off from Phlegra's capital. Even if they do grab Xibalba, which would be a bit sad, that still leaves us right with the option of Nazca and a throne. In addition to like a good amount of territory. So, this is still definitely worth pursuing, but I should reach out to Ulm and, let them know, hey, I did see your flag, because they were worried about bumps. But we're still a decent ways from actually being in a situation where we're likely to bump, unless they have a lot of stealthy raiders, ahead of their armies, which I doubt. And then I guess the last element, we have too many pokers in the fire, I think. So yeah, the Yis Pelagia situation, did get in touch with Pelagia, and they're, it sounds like they're getting pressed pretty hard. Yis outnumbers them. Also, sadly, I did look it up. Neither Wailing Winds nor Call Lesser Horror, which are the two things that the Horror Harmonica does, work underwater, because underwater sucks, which means we can offer them basically no support. I do think Golems will probably still be useful against Yis, not so much against their Sacreds. Their Sacreds are going to be pretty dangerous, and I feel like it's going to be difficult to set up a Golem that's going to kill a stack of Morvark Knights. But a lot of Yis's other armies, right, are just kind of a lot of infantry, and we'll have to take a look at like what spell support they have, but we might be able to kit out some Golems that aren't using the Horror Harmonica that will still be pretty dangerous to a lot of Yissian armies. So it is going to be, we're low on pearls at this point, and we're kind of low on gems in general from all of our fighting and trying to supply gems to armies. So we're not in a great position to support Pelagia, and it sounds like we might end up being too late to actually help them out. But it's probably still worth investing in those Golems, both just because they're going to be useful to have. But then also, we've talked about how once Pelagia goes down, what does Yis do, right? It's like probably they attack us. You never know. But yeah, we've discussed that to death. I think Yis is in our future, unfortunately. Which means that, building some anti-underwater, some anti-Yissian tools is still going to be relevant to us. Whether or not we can actually use them to help Pelagia, we'll see. So yeah, I think that covers sort of, the political situation, the war situation. Most of the rest of this is just some site searchers, which, of course we're still doing. Recruitment is a bit on the constrained side. We've sort of moved our knight production over here. You can see there's no knights going on, but we are still recruiting reinforcements down here. Because like I said, I'm still not sure, right, where man is at, and there's a decent chance we're going to take significant casualties fighting against Abyssia. So I don't want to leave our heartland completely unprotected, and at the end of the day, we will be able to gateway these troops out wherever we need them. And we are still doing recruitment, out in Mictlan where we can. Again, it's our fort situation, I think, is just the placement is wrong, right? So it's not that the reason that it feels like we have, or that I have too many forts but too few forts, is that we have too many forts in the wrong position. And that was mostly a feature of kind of wonky expansion, or at least that's my take on it. Otherwise, our army is just hanging out down here. We're not going to press Yis immediately because we're not really in a position to do that. And then research-wise, let's see, what are we working on? Right, Enchantment 7, we talked about that. Alteration 8, both good targets. Research has gone down a little bit, right? Talked about how we had to mobilize a ton of witch hunters to form that massive communion. And it does cut into your research. And then, of course, we sent out those armies against Phlegra, so our research has actually gone down a little bit as compared to previous turns. Always sad. But still doing decent. We should definitely forge more lanterns, but we are trying to save some fire gems because we would like to put Eternal Pyre back up. That is still very much on the menu. And it has occurred to me that possibly Asphodel was not the one that dispelled because Bandar does get a decent amount of, we can even take a look, right? Yeah, they get 3 Astral Pearls from their capital alone. Now I was thinking, since they've been using those Astral Pearls on their summons a bunch, that they probably didn't have that many. but they may have decided that it's like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to summon in enough of our sacreds, right, to be able to stop Marignon, but we can save up our pearls, right, for quite a few turns and then try to dispel their global. So it's entirely possible that, Bandar was the one that dispelled, and that we could put it up, we could put Eternal Pyre up. Well, we don't quite have the fire gems for it this turn, but we may try next turn. Of course, I think Felegra also gets Astral Pearls. Okay, not from this site. Let's see. No, actually they don't. But they do get Astral Mages, right? Well, no, I don't know. Yeah, so I just checked. I feel like I've checked this before, but I forgot. I was just thinking like, well, they're a communion nation, so obviously they have Astral, but they're kind of a weird communion nation, right? So, they do it via like magic items that are just kind of built into some of their units. So they have turn 1 or turn 0 communions, right? They actually don't even have to cast those spells, and as a consequence, they don't actually have any astral like whatsoever in the nation, at least not on these mages. Let's just double check. I can't imagine. Yeah, these guys don't have astral either, and I know that these guys don't. So yeah, no astral actually. So we don't have to worry so much about Felegra casting Dispel on our global. So yeah, next turn actually, there's a good chance we'll cast Eternal Pyre again, and if it goes down right pretty quickly, then it's like, yeah, that's probably Asphodel. But if it stays up, then it was probably Bandar getting in a last barb against us. So yeah, I think that more or less covers turn 56.